The world is at a crossroads in global trade, and today may mark one of the most significant shifts in recent economic history as India and the European Union edge closer to concluding a long-awaited free trade agreement that many analysts are calling the mother of all deals. Imagine two of the world's largest democracies, representing nearly 2 billion people and almost a quarter of global GDP, opening their economies, lowering tariffs, and deepening trade ties at a time when protectionist sentiment is rising in other quarters of the world. This is a moment that could redefine not just India's economic trajectory, but also Europe's strategic posture and the broader balance in international commerce. Before we dive deeper, take a moment to subscribe to World Uncovered, where we break down geopolitics and global economic shifts shaping our world with clarity and context. The potential India-EU free trade agreement has been in negotiation for almost 2 decades, beginning formally in 2007 and facing multiple rounds of talks, pauses, and difficult debates over market access, intellectual property, environmental standards, and regulatory frameworks. Those early negotiations were slow and often stalled because of deep differences about tariffs on key goods, the role of services and data flows, and protections for sensitive sectors. But today, in early 2026, geopolitical and economic forces have combined to push both sides toward a breakthrough that had eluded them for years. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that the European Union is on the verge of concluding what could be a historic trade deal with India, and efforts are focused on finalizing remaining details such as carbon levies and import duties before the formal summit in New Delhi later this month. This agreement is seen as more than a typical trade pact. It is a strategic pivot. In the current global environment, rising tariffs and trade barriers, notably moves by the United States in recent years, have made trade diversification a priority for many nations. With the U.S. imposing higher tariffs on a range of imports and others recalibrating relationships, India sees a deep trade partnership with Europe as an essential component of its economic strategy, helping mitigate dependence on any single market and opening vast opportunities for exporters across sectors. At the same time, the EU views India as a dynamic and rapidly growing economy, whose access to European markets would give Europe an edge in engaging with emerging markets and reshaping global supply chains. Economically, the agreement promises significant changes. India's exports to Europe have already been substantial. In fiscal years prior to 2026, the EU was one of India's largest trading partners, with trade in goods alone nearing $135 billion. Removing or significantly reducing tariffs on a broad range of goods and services would enhance competitiveness for Indian products, especially in sectors such as textiles, pharmaceuticals, machinery, and technology services, where barriers once limited market access. Such changes could unlock higher growth, boost employment, and help Indian firms participate more fully in global value chains. Economists note that textile and apparel exports, for example, could see some of the clearest gains, benefiting from tariff reductions that make Indian products more competitive against regional rivals whose access to European markets has previously been tariff-free or preferential. From Europe's perspective, the deal is equally transformative. Europe has long sought deeper ties with fast-growing markets to offset global economic uncertainties. By granting preferential access to Indian consumers, European manufacturers and service providers could secure a foothold in a high-growth region that complements its traditional allies in North America and East Asia. European leaders have described India as indispensable for the EU's long-term economic resilience, highlighting how a robust trade partnership could strengthen strategic cooperation in areas like clean technology, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, and digital services. The fact that the EU's top leaders are attending India's Republic Day celebrations underscores how seriously Brussels views this pact. But the deal's significance extends beyond economics into geopolitics. As global trade patterns evolve under pressure from geopolitical friction, climate policy, and tariff wars, an India-EU pact could act as an anchor for a more stable and diversified trade order. It signals that powerful democracies can work together to reduce barriers and support rules-based trade at a time when protectionist tendencies threaten to fragment global markets. It also potentially offers a counterweight to other major trade blocs that are emerging in Asia and the Indo-Pacific, allowing India and Europe to strengthen their negotiating positions with partners around the world. The pact may also influence how countries like the United States approach future trade negotiations with both India and the European market. Yet, despite the optimism, challenges remain. Some industry groups and policymakers are concerned about how the transition will affect smaller firms and sectors that have been protected under existing tariffs or subsidies. In India, domestic industries have pushed back in the past over the prospect of sudden exposure to European competition, especially in agriculture and specialized manufacturing. The European Union's own regulatory frameworks, including its carbon border adjustment mechanism, which imposes costs on imports based on carbon intensity, could add complexity for Indian exporters, requiring them to navigate both tariff and non-tariff barriers even after an agreement is signed. Furthermore, the timing of the deal matters. With global trade disrupted by broader geopolitical tensions, including U.S. tariff policy and shifting diplomatic alliances, the India-EU FTA comes at a moment when both sides may benefit from asserting economic leadership on their own terms. The pact could encourage other nations to pursue similar agreements, creating a network of diversified trade links that reduce reliance on any one economic partner. This has implications not just for bilateral trade, but for supply chain resilience, investment patterns, and geopolitical alignments in the coming decade. In addition to trade, discussions between India and the European Union at the India-EU summit have included talks on security cooperation, defense ties, and technology exchange, reflecting a broader strategic agenda. Enhanced cooperation in areas such as cybersecurity, counterterrorism, and maritime security underscores how economic ties are increasingly intertwined with shared security interests in a rapidly changing world. The possible signing of the India-EU Free Trade Agreement in late January 2026 therefore stands as a major milestone, not just the culmination of nearly 20 years of negotiation, but a signal of how global commerce is being reshaped by new partnerships, strategic needs, and economic pragmatism. Whether the deal delivers on its full potential will depend on how both sides manage implementation, address outstanding regulatory and market access issues, and ensure that the benefits are widely shared across industries and populations. But in an age of rising uncertainty, a successful India-EU trade pact could become a defining moment in the global trade architecture, offering a compelling example of how strategic economic cooperation can bolster stability and growth for two of the world's most important economic actors. If you want calm, clear explanations of the forces shaping our world, from geopolitics to global trade and beyond, subscribe to World Uncovered. Because the biggest shifts often happen quietly, long before they become the headlines everyone talks about.